The Thanksgiving Day has been a tradition in this nation for over 200 years now, maybe 300 years. And that's a good tradition to show our gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the gifts and bounties He has given us. To be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In one verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. You cannot even count the countless bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you want to count them, you can't. How many bounties Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us? The bounty of hearing, of seeing, of being able to comprehend, the power of intellect, the bounty of food, the bounty of safety and security, the bounty of health. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed so many bounties on us that we are hardly capable of showing greatness to Him. Some people believe that the true bounty, the true happiness lies in having more money, more wealth, more fame. Trust me, that's not true. That's not true at all. The Prophet ﷺ in one brief hadith tells us the source of happiness in our life. He says, "Man asbaha minkum aminan fi sirbih." A person who feels safe in his house and among his people. Sense of security and safety. Mu'afan fi jasadih. Feeling healthy in your body. عِنْدَهُ قُوتُ يَوْمِهِ. He can afford a good meal for himself and for his family members. فَكَأَنَّمَا حِيزَتْ لَهُ الدُّنْيَا. This person is as of someone who has gained the entire world. He has everything. If you have safety and security, and you have food that you can survive with, you and your family, and you have health, then you have everything. You have everything. Many people do not appreciate the many bounties Allah has given them. They always look at the cup, the half empty part. They never look at the half full. Why someone else has more than I do? I need more. Some people think that their happiness rests in having more money, accumulating more wealth, more cars in their garage, a bigger house, more income. That's not true. If you have food to offer your family, if you're healthy, if you're safe, you are the most wealthiest person. One man, a wise man, who pretended always to be insane, known as Bahlool. Bahlool was not insane. He was a very sharp person. He pretended to be insane so as to escape any political persecution. Because if he would not pretend to be insane, he will be held accountable for the comments he makes. So he entered the chamber of the Abbasi emperor, Harun. So Harun asked Bahlool, "How much do you think my seat worth? I am the emperor of the world." Harun was such an arrogant person that sometimes he used to address the cloud. he would tell the cloud, go east, go west, go north, go south. Wherever you go, you shall reign in my property. شرقي وغربي فلا تمطرين إلا في ملكي. In my property. Look, he considers the Muslim country as his own property. That's how arrogant he was. So Harun asked this man, he was the absolute king of a vast empire. He asked Bahlool, Bahlool, how much you think my seat worth? I'm the king of all kings. I am the most powerful emperor. He says, listen to this. It might sound funny, but it's very true. He says, your seat worth one time urination. He says, what? He says, I'm telling you, your seat worth one time of urination. He says, what do you mean? He says, this is what I mean. If you, Harun, now have stone in your kidney, and this stone in your kidney stops you from urinating, it blocks your bladder and you're not able to urinate. What would happen to you if you don't urinate? You die. Your bladder would explode and you die. Here a doctor comes and he says, Harun, I'm willing to remove this stone from your bladder so you can urinate, providing that you give me your seat. I, the doctor, become the king. Would you do that? He says, of course, in order to save my life, I will accept to give him my seat in order for that doctor to enable me to urinate. He says, see, your seat is worth one urination, nothing more. Don't be so arrogant. Don't be so happy about the seat you occupy. See what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. The ni'mah of health. People who have to go and do what's known as dialysis because they have a kidney failure. They have to go to the hospital 3 or 4 times a week in a lengthy, difficult, painful process to do something that small part of your body, kidney, does. But we never appreciate the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We take all His ni'mah for granted. Only when we lose the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we appreciate. That's why, my dear brothers and sisters, we have to be very, very, very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything He has done. One scholar says, I had a friend who told me one day that I wish God would give me $10 million. So I told, the scholar says, he says, I told my friend who wished to have $10 million, I told him Allah gave you more than $10 million. He says, no, He didn't. I said, no, He did. Look, if now you have $10 million and you lose your eyes, and the doctor tells you, in order to treat your eyes and restore your vision, I have to charge you $10 million. Would you do that? He says, of course. I would give $10 million to, if I have it, of course, to restore my vision. Allah has given you something worth more than $10 million. The ni'mah of vision, the ni'mah of sanity, the ni'mah of being safe. Many people do not feel safe, my dear brothers and sisters. People who went to the gas station to fuel their bus yesterday in Halla, they were attacked by a suicide bomber who killed 80 people at least. You feel safe here, my dear brothers and sisters, don't you? You go home, there's food in your refrigerator. There are many families, not in this country, but around the world, who do not have what you have in your home, in your refrigerator. People who cannot afford one decent meal. I have seen with my own eyes in some Muslim countries, people searching for food in the trash can just to find some edible food. What do we do in this country? Every year, average, every year, this is according to NPR, every year in this country, every household, how many households in the United States? At least 80 million households. Every household throws into the garbage at least what is equivalent or worth $1,500 of edible food. 1,500 times 80 million. Who is good in math to tell us how much money, how much food that is? 1,500 per family is thrown into the garbage of edible food every year in this country, while there are millions of people around the world who cannot find one decent meal to eat. We have to be very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to be very humble. My dear brothers and sisters, when you travel overseas, go to some countries. When you go to Iraq, to Afghanistan, when you go to some poor countries, just go and see how those poor people live. Some families wait for over 1 month to have one meal with meat. I know some families in the Middle East who cannot afford meat in their meal. Maybe once every 2 months, once every 3 months. Once every 2 months they have meat. They eat meat. Otherwise they cannot afford. You and I enjoy the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should not take everything Allah has given us for granted. We have to be very grateful. The Prophet ﷺ entered his house one day and he saw a piece of bread thrown on the floor. He took it. He wiped it with his own hand and he ate it. And he tells his wife, Ya Aisha, Inna al-ni'mata idha aqbalat ala qawmin falam yashkuruha hawwalaha Allahu ila ghayrih. If Allah gives you a ni'mah and you do not appreciate it, Allah will take it from you and He will give it to other people. By not being grateful. In order to keep the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in order to keep His bounties, we have to be always grateful. Grateful by appreciating what He has given us. By not taking things for granted. By not wasting food. By thinking about those millions of poor and starving people and helping them, extending a hand of help.